If you're looking to tone up your physique into the next level in any way possible, these are the best finds you need to get at a local grocery store. If there's one thing you struggle with on a fitness journey, you don't know what exactly you can consume, things like these, which are lower in calorie, are perfect. I'm not looking at ingredients when I go to buy or purchase things. I look at things that's going to be lower in calorie, and it's going to make cravings in a way and get me to my goals and lose weight. Because if you're like any other individual who is on a weight loss journey, you're probably looking at what options can you find that's going to be relatively most helpful towards weight loss. Lower in calorie, and it's things that I look at, which is orange kiss, as well as cherry slush. These are things that are lower in calorie, best options that I particularly choose and go to in a given day. So you don't really have to just consume the same old boring, bland foods and or beverages if your goal ultimately is weight loss. So don't overthink the process, don't overcomplicate it. You can literally pick up something, and it does not have to be just water. The body is made up of water, as we all know, so you're going to need to consume several liters of water per day, probably 3 to maybe 6 per day. Outside of that, you can probably go and supplement that towards beverages, things you like to consume in a given day. Because look, there is nothing more that I simply cannot stand in having to just be so rigidly tight towards a diet. Even me myself, I have my days where I'm lenient on what I'm going out towards eating in and out. It could be going towards things that I like to eat, things that I have a personal preference for. Ice cream, it could be maybe a restaurant. It does not have to be a rigid lifestyle, because if you make it that way, the level of compliance towards achieving that goal is going to be ridiculously low. There's an 80-20% rule, but I like to follow the 90-10% rule, which is 90% of the time, which is 6 days out of the week, I'm eating clean. And on one day, particularly a Sunday, or it could be any other day in the middle of the week, it includes or something more of my interest, things that I like to eat that's not really inside of a meal plan. That altogether, man, is exactly what I look out for whenever I'm going out towards places like this, towards getting beverages that are most helpful towards weight loss. This is also a different color, different flavor, same calorie count, juicy peach energy, right? It's perfect. I mean, it's great because you don't have to just drink water all the time, especially if you're trying to lose weight. And what better way is it to lose weight than to pick up something like this and take you closer to your weight loss goal? If you don't, it makes compliance a lot more harder to actually stick towards a goal and to see change in the way that you look. That's the way that I look at it, man, for one of the drinks here in this brief aisle, if you want to call it that, for weight loss. I mean, there are sodas here, as you can see, but I like to pick options that are best for weight loss. How can you find what's going to be best for you? Again, all you need to do is look at the ingredients, look at what it says. Not so much the ingredients, but the calories, because the calorie is just a number in which you can relatively burn off. And I relatively am extreme on pure leaf tea. It's the best for weight loss. Unsweetened, I wouldn't really go for the option right here that says sweet tea. We'll go for the option that says unsweetened. For me, if there is anything that I go in to consume, it's going to be less sugars, always less sugars in any way that I can. The less you consume in a day is going to be the more easy it's going to be towards weight loss. And this, I'm always working out at the gym, so I got to get right and fuel up. And this is one of the things that I go to, that I must, for electrolytes, as well as just fueling my body back up after recovery. Like, because I'm always working out in a day, right? And so I got to give my body what it needs to, so it can feel right, recover properly, so I can get back to my next gym session with more intensity, with more energy, and attack the day even stronger than I did it the day before. That's how I look at it, and it's how you should too, because there are many selections you can look at for weight loss. And again, it doesn't have to be like anything over the top. It just doesn't. And if you're like the next guy, you more than likely don't want to consume and or follow something that requires you to be so tightly focused on that plan or agenda. And for me, I'm the same way. Weight loss typically happens when you are burning more energy in a day than you are consuming. And if you can manage that over a consistent time period, like, it's going to be no reason to the point where you can't lose weight or keep it off. Most men cannot keep off weight because they're continuously feeding their body more than what they're actively expending in a day. And that itself creates a lot of friction, and that friction is something you don't need in a fitness endeavor, especially if you've been struggling to keep weight off your whole life. And if you want to keep off weight the right way without all the headache, the trauma that comes with it, then go look into options simply just like this, that's going to increase compliance, get you closer to your goal while keeping the friction down. If you're more of a savage like me and you want to hit your protein take in a given day, this is going to be your best option. I love it. It's lower in sugar, so it may not be more towards your taste. So if that's the case, you can always go and get this option. Instead, it's a little bit more in the actual account. So you're going to actually feel good about achieving your goals and doing it in a way where it's seamless, it's effortless, and you don't have to overthink your weight loss goal. And if that's for me personally, it's something I'm generally going to pick up, if not in Walmart, in any other store that I go to. So when it gets down to weight loss, like all it really is, man, is calories in versus calories out. If you can manage that in the right way, it's going to be relatively easy for you to hit your weight loss goal without all the headache and be more clear about your intentions to actually go and get there. And if you love cream soda as much as the next guy, this is the best option you have to get if you're at your local grocery store, whatever the case it is. I'm more fond of is going to be this right here, much as the other brand that I used to go to, which is higher in calorie. Weight loss is your goal. So if that's your goal, you want to go for options that are going to accommodate that and support your goals in the making. It doesn't have to be anything too over the top. Better finds, better substitutions are things you want to look for to make your life easier, not more complicated than what it actually needs to be. Most guys typically struggle with, and most men over 30 on a weight loss journey, is they tend to pick up the wrong options that in turn, it doesn't fully support their goals where they want to be. And it makes gaining weight easier in the process and much less losing it much more of an actual roller coaster for them to actually experience. And if you are actually looking to make the right changes, better substitutions and being more aware of what you can make whenever you're shopping is going to be literally paramount, getting you to where you want to be in any goal. So here's the thing, losing weight becomes non-existent when you don't really have any idea in terms of what you need to do to keep weight off, and doing it in a way where it becomes easier to follow. You don't need to replicate the process or change anything. Whatever amount, it doesn't even matter if it's Walmart, it doesn't even matter if it's Target, really. I'm looking for the best option that's going to get me there. I'm not really thinking about satisfying a craving, not really thinking about what fuels me or what I'm into at the moment, because whenever I think in that perspective, I think that way it allows me to pick the wrong options in turn. It doesn't really give me the right idea to actually ration the reason why I'm in the store in the first place to support my weight loss goal. As you can see here, this is zero Gatorade. It's the same thing as a non-brand regular Gatorade. The only difference is it's a calorie. A calorie count is just a number. That's all I look at it in terms of calorie. I don't really look at the macros unless it's some form of food I'm actually consuming in the present moment. Though if it's just a beverage like zero power Gatorade, it's going to be a better option in terms of hitting your weight loss goal outside of Powerade, which is 80 calories. Again, if you look at it that way, that would mean you have to burn off 80 calories in a given day, which isn't extreme. It's not extreme at all. Again, the only difference is the calorie number. And I think that the serving size on the back of every package, everything you consume, will either tell you how much of something you need to consume so you don't gain any weight, because that's a problem that most men over 30 faces because of the fact that they'll pick up anything and not look at the actual serving size, and that is how you will lose weight. If you don't look at the actual number, how do you expect to make your goal a lot more easier to achieve? Vitamin water, again, this is not the one that I'm looking for. Things that tend to be lower in calorie, things that tend to be lower in the actual idea of the sense that if you don't look at the same thing on a continual basis, it makes the strife of trying to lose a few pounds a lot more complicated than it needs to be. And if you're looking to make your life easier and not make it more painful than what it needs to be, or painless, then being more mindful of what you can find in a store versus what you're feeling to get or what you are normally accustomed to getting, that's the kind of approach you want to look at. And that's how I look at it myself whenever I'm going out towards doing weekly hauls, for the matter. All in hindsight, that is all weight loss is. Even if you like to have or frequent snacks of your liking, whether it's a goldfish as you see behind me, if you want to lose weight, none of that matters. What matters is getting into an efficient point where you are looking at the serving size and you're monitoring it on a regular basis. And if you can manage to do that and that alone, I mean, losing weight is going to become a lot more easier than what it needs to be. You can eat anything you want as long as you look at the serving size. It literally is there to tell you how much of something you need to consume so you can visibly lose weight. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. But the fact is, most people can't control how much of something they need to consume in a day, which makes the goal a lot difficult to actually achieve. And if weight loss is your goal, then you want to monitor the serving size of how much of what you are consuming and actually log it in, so you know how much of one thing you are monitoring, you are consuming, so you can get to your goal. And if you can manage that and really stay consistent on that one thing, it's going to be almost virtually physically impossible for you to not keep weight off, lose those stomach rolls, or put yourself into a better position or standing to see the right change in your own fitness goals. There is no better way to go about achieving that goal than to be aggressive in terms of what you are looking at and consuming in the present moment. Managing that alone get you to your goal indefinitely. Follow and subscribe to this page for more reels that can put you into an efficient deficit to hit your weight loss goals with ease.